So, I'm so excited to introduce someone who has become such a meaningful connection in my wellness world. Jessica and I met through IHP mentorship program and officially connected at the Reimagine Health Summit. And from the start, she stood out. I have to interject. She is a much taller in person. She is someone who goes deep, asks the right questions, and never settles until she finds the real answers. She's an IHP level 3 practitioner, which she just completed, a devoted mom of two adorable littles, and truly kind person that will go to the bat for you. Her own postpartum struggles, low energy, brain fog, feeling unlike herself, became the catalyst for reclaiming her vitality, and now she helps other women do the same. I'm so grateful to have her speak at my wellness retreat and to share her wisdom, her lived experience, and her heart with all of us. Jessica, so happy that you're here. Welcome. To start, if you could, people, for the those who don't know you, who you are and what you do.
So excited to be here with you. And I think that was such a touching intro. I didn't really expect all that, and it's really sweet. It has me blushing. I don't know if I can introduce myself any better than that. Yeah, I do have two kids, and that's what brought me to IHP because after my second, I was feeling a lot of symptoms and I was struggling a lot. I didn't feel like myself. And like everyone would just say that's a normal part of postpartum, but I didn't think that it should be how it was. So yes, I had to go find more answers. um,
So that's what kind of brought you. What were your biggest challenges, I guess, in your own health journey, and how you overcame them? When did you have them, and at one point did you make that change?
yeah. So they got my symptoms got worse and worse, starting with my first pregnancy, but then after my second one, they were very noticeable. I had neuropathy in my hands and my feet where I just they would get more and more numb. It started mostly in my feet. And when I would get up in the morning, they'd be numb, and I'd sort of have to stand there and wait for like to get tingly and for my feeling to come back. And then one day it started getting in my hands too. And around the same time, and this was before I was even pregnant, I was getting the neuropathy. And then I was also starting to get memory loss, where I just wasn't remembering like past memories. And I couldn't remember just like daily things as well. So both long term and short term. I ended up going to a neurologist. And it's one of those stories. The doctor couldn't help. He basically said that if I'm not at the level of Alzheimer's, that he wasn't able to help me for the memory loss.
Wow, that's got to be really scary. I'm guessing you had to look underneath, under other rocks and things to find out where to go next.
Yeah, I didn't know where to go next, actually, and I didn't know like what to ask even because I mean, was this an issue? Was this normal? Like he didn't really validate me, and I don't know, maybe it's part of aging, right? That's sort of like the narrative people say, like you just get older and things get worse, right? But I did also have the neuropathy, so that's like very unusual. Um, so I didn't really figure out what to do for that. But then I got pregnant and then I got other symptoms. I did have preeclampsia with my first pregnancy.
Mhm.
And so I had a lot of swelling, like really big ankles, feet, face. Um, and my first was born a week early. Um, and I was induced with Pitocin. Um, and after that, it was a little hard to lose the weight and get my energy back and um, but it did go away for the most part. But then after my second birth, like everything just seemed to get a lot worse. Like that's when my brain fog really hit. Like my brain fog, it's like, what do people mean when you say brain fog? And at the time, I didn't know that brain fog was a thing. I didn't know that's what I was experiencing. But I remember just the months after giving birth to Atticus, I couldn't form sentences very well because I had trouble coming up with words. Like words would not come up. And so I felt like really quiet. And like at that time is, after having kids, your life changes a lot. Your friendships change. Like I had new friends and like I feel like they didn't even know me because suddenly I was this quiet person. Like it was really quiet. And I didn't feel like I could speak up. I was like almost a shell of myself. Um,
Mhm.
and so like I think those new friends didn't even know truly who I was in a way. So the brain fog was definitely the worst symptom I had to deal with because I didn't feel like it was me. I felt a little bit lost. And then I had like 30 extra pounds I couldn't get rid of. And again, it comes back to narrative. Everyone says, oh, it'll just take time. It's just part of postpartum. I had low mood. I was very irritable. Um, these are all classic postpartum symptoms that I now understand, and I understand the causes after going through IHP and continuing my education. And it's just like people out there don't know. And
Yeah.
so it's really hard just to be able to know how to make any changes or even that you can.
Yeah.
Um,
Were you breastfeeding too on
yes.
top of it?
Yeah, best for both.
Yeah, because that's demanding on the body also.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at what point did you get into IHP?
So I was about 4 months past um, postpartum after Atticus, my second,
Mhm.
and at that point I was just feeling really discouraged and feeling all the symptoms I just talked to you about. And fortunately, I had a friend of a friend and was talking to her about some of my symptoms, and she's an IHP. And after talking to her, she said, "Oh, you're so into this. Why why don't you look into becoming an IHP?" And like literally the next day I signed up.
Nice.
Uh yeah, so and then I just like dove in and I did go through it really fast. I absorbed a lot of knowledge. But it really helped me with everything. I was able to start healing myself right away. And I saw rapid changes. It's truly amazing.
That's awesome. What was some of the first things that you did?
Well, so I was still nursing.
Mhm.
So there are limitations on what you can do when you're nursing because you don't want to, um, like certain protocols, if you're taking certain supplements or herbals, you don't want to pass that on through your breast milk. Also, when you have a lot of excess weight, there's a lot of it that is toxic water weight or you're holding on to toxins. And so if you drop it really fast, you can sort of flush that out through your breast milk sometimes. But that I started doing steps right right when I started IHP, and I didn't actually know all that. The first thing I did was like a full elimination diet, which eliminates all like the top inflammatory foods, the foods that cause the most issues with your body. And just by doing that, changing my eating habits, meal timing, I was able to lose all the 30 pounds within a month. I actually lost 10 pounds the first week.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't happen like that for everyone's, but my body really responded to that. I was really lucky. However, it was a really flat but fast discharge, and my infant Atticus did get a little bit of a reaction from it. So that is something to be aware of, but I didn't know it at the time. Did that answer your question? Yeah, the first
Yeah.
thing was the elimination diet, and it really started to turn things around. Oh, I'm sorry. On top of that, though, I started supplementing primarily with the DNS, which is your multi, includes all your vitamins, all your minerals, even some detox herbals. So that's like a really good foundation. So it also helped me revitalize some of the lack of nutrients that I had,
Mhm.
which was definitely an issue at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. I mean, it's starting to get to what you and I both have learned is just going to the root of it.
Yes.
So I guess now he's helping others get to the root of what their issues are. Um, what do you do to start your investigative process? I guess when the client comes to you, maybe feeling overwhelmed or, dealing with anything that's I guess baby oriented.
Um, so I mean, I definitely have a conversation with someone that is interested, because there's multiple paths you can take. There are oftentimes you can just make some minor changes as far as diet, like even shifting my diet for me made huge changes. So first I want to get a good idea of where they're coming from, what their concerns are, and like what they want to achieve. Um, but then we have to have a conversation about like what we can do in the future too. It's very tricky if they're still breastfeeding, because there are some limitations. Um, and then I do have some different programs that I'm starting up, but I also am planning on creating this free community Facebook page, because I believe there's so many steps that women can take that people should just know. It's like it should just be basic health knowledge. And I don't mind sharing that in a group. And if people are willing to commit, they can figure it out. And just make slow changes over time could really make a lot of difference. So that's one thing. But if you did a program, I usually try to work with labs as well, because then labs will help you look at deeper root cause imbalances. So then we might discover when talking together what labs would look good for or be most relevant to their issues.
Okay. Yeah, I know going through IHP level 3, that probably has made a little bit more of a shift, either with your healing. What would you say, I guess, is the benefit of the level 3 that you can bring to women in pre and postpartum?
Sure. Well, level three is just it include so for those that don't know, IHP level one it includes like all the stages and pillars of health that or you can work on in your life to create health. And level two is just the first round of labs. It's like the most foundational lab work that you can work with. It's very inclusive. So, I mean, level three is just some more advanced labs, and it just enables you to look at basically every functional medicine lab out there. But for me, honestly, like the level two labs, which are the minerals and metals and organic acids tests. Those are the most important ones to me, and that's where I would start with most people. So the more advanced labs are, I think, more situational,
Hmm. Yeah,
depending. It doesn't matter like postpartum or someone in a different stage of life. That's just situation. It sort of depends on the person's case, whether or not we delve that deep. Yeah.
right. Just with anything with health, it's always peeling back those layers. You start with this one, and then you pull back to the next one. And if that still doesn't give you any answers, then you start with the one after that.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's
Start with the
great.
foundations first. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Going back to motherhood, would you say how would you say that it was shaped how you show up for clients and the women that you support?
Yeah, I think it's complicated because you know we get to this stage of our life, we become mothers, and I don't think many of us are fully prepared for all the changes that happen after that. For me, I was excited to have kids. I think kids are wonderful, and I was excited for all those positive things. I didn't realize how lonely it would suddenly be, because your time evolves around the kids. You can't escape the house as easy. So for a lot of moms, I think a lot of us are lonely and sort of lose a lot of our connections and a lot of people aren't aware of what you're going through unless you're talking to other moms maybe But then it's even hard to keep in touch with people. So a lot of people are alone dealing with this all by themselves, trying to handle all these struggles. And moms don't get a lot of sleep. It's highly stressful. They're hearing babies scream all the time. And it's like, our fight or flight is constantly being triggered and we're not getting sleep. So it's so stressful on the body. I don't know if I'm going on a tangent or not, but
Mm-mm, not at all.
um, it's just, sort of acknowledging how they feel, letting, like when I talk to moms, it's really important for them to know they're not the only ones um, going through this. There's so many of us out there going through the same thing, and we're like all lonely islands experiencing the same thing when we could be like a community. We used to have community villages, and I would really like to contribute in some way to help redevelop villages and like the community around motherhood somehow.
Yeah, because most women think that this stuff is it's just their new norm. But
Right.
they have to understand that no, there's another way. There's
Yes.
a way to
Yeah.
do these with very small things because I mean I've been there myself, all of a sudden you've got this new little one, or even the time up to it, or even before when you're going through the fertility, if you're having issues with that as well. There's so many different things that women need so much more support on, to get the information. And it's not always readily available. So it's trying to get the word out. And I praise you for doing that because I wish I had it at that time when I had my son. There's resources out there,
Yeah.
to help out and things that you should and shouldn't do. And it's really scary because you've got a lot of people out there saying, oh, well, make sure you don't eat this or do this. And you have to learn, okay, who do you believe?
Right.
So, what do you typically tell someone kind of overdue for real support when it comes to those kind of things?
Um, I'm sorry. Can you
Yeah,
rephrase that?
if someone comes to you with that kind of situation, what do you kind of tell someone or where to start to get like the real support?
Yeah, I think that's actually just backtracking a little bit, that I think that's one of the trickiest things with me working with certain with the group of women pre-conception. Like if they're like me, I didn't have much awareness at all. Like there's steps that you should be doing prior to conception, ideally for optimizing your health, because there's so many things that you pass on to your baby during pregnancy and then after pregnancy as well if you're going to continue to nurse. And so it's so hard when you're trying to reach out to a group of people that don't even know there might be an issue. It's like I had some symptoms going into pregnancy, but I had no idea to what extent. I had no idea what could be causing it. And I had no idea that my symptoms are related to root causes that could affect the health of my child. I didn't know that was an issue to even consider. So I think that's one of the hardest things is just bringing awareness to people that don't need or that don't know there's any awareness to be found. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
It's
makes
like
sense. Yeah.
trying to spread word to people that don't know there's word to be heard. Say the same thing in different words.
Yeah. I mean, from the clients, I guess that you have helped,
Yeah.
um, can you tell a story of maybe something that they've kind of gone through, or even an aha moment for like that they've had when they've worked with you?
Yeah, definitely. There's one client that I worked with, and she was definitely aware of some root cause health aspects, but she worked with me for my during one of my postpartum support programs, and during that we did do some lab testing. We did two lab tests with her, and for her, seeing the data that are associated with some of her symptoms, um, it was like a wow moment for her. She's like, wow, this is real. I'm not just imagining things. There's actually data that tell me exactly what's going on, like causing actual imbalances in my body. And for her, I think there's a big form of validation, because it's like proof in the pudding that, that there is something going on. And she really appreciated that. And I appreciate that for her.
Yeah, no, there's living that actually myself. You're not crazy. Like, oh, there really is something going on that's impacting this. Um, what would you say are the top three things that kind of hold people back most from achieving results?
Yeah, I think we touched on some of them a little bit. Um, I like to talk about it, but just one is perspective, is sort of what I was going back to in what we were talking about. Like pre-pregnancy, a lot of people aren't aware of the issue. Perspective is not really realizing how many symptoms are connected to actual identifiable causes. So it's just like there's not much education about this out in the world. I mean, I don't think there's great education about even things like diet, about lifestyle. Not much discussion about like how much stress actually physically affects your health. And it's not like there's not people talking about it. There definitely is, but I don't think it's really mainstream. It's not like everyone knows that when they eat soda and chips, could be harming their body. Like the people eating soda and chips, I don't think acknowledge or completely understand that perspective of how much it could be harming them, or else I don't think they do it.
Right.
It's just not something that's known. And so I think that's the biggest hurdle, is just like perspective and people realizing the depths of their choices. Um, Also, I think support. So when people do make the choice to make changes, I think especially with moms, a lot of us feel like there's a lack of support. I mean, there's family, you have your immediate family and other family too, but then if you suddenly make this perspective shift, doesn't necessarily mean that everyone else is going to make that leap with you. And so sometimes you're trying to make these changes and there's people around you not making these changes, and it can be really hard. Um, Especially when, say, if it's like a diet change and your family is still eating all these cookies and popcorn or something you're not supposed to be eating at that time, then it's hard to resist and hard to make changes if you're the only one doing it.
Hmm.
Um, like changing habits. You get really used to certain habits, and some are become very comforting to you. So, I mean, some things that are really unhealthy, people sort of emotionally connect with at this point. So sometimes when you're emotionally connected to a food or a habit, that can be really hard to change. And that also, I think, comes back to perspective. You have to really, really understand why you need to make that change to unhinge yourself from that addiction or that habit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's all good. And as you mentioned before too about community and how important that is. I mean, speaking of community, you're going to be speaking at a retreat very soon, which
Yes.
looking forward to, again, bringing that community and everything in. What are you most excited to share, and what do you hope that the women walk away feeling?
Yeah, I'm really excited and I'm really happy that you're having me. And this is a woman's focused wellness retreat, and I really would like to be very positive and uplifting. So, I thought about it. I didn't want to go in there and say, don't eat this, 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 and this, and like all the negative things. And so I really wanted to come in with some daily, weekly, monthly, and like yearly rituals and habits that are really uplifting for our health. And just because women in general are very attached to cycles, as are all humans. We're attached to like the cycles of the year, cycles of the day. We can get into that in depth as well.
Mhm.
But so I just wanted to try to come in and bring some very positive like actions they can take, or just mindset, or just lifestyle habits that they can form over time that would really help their health. Trying to be positive.
That sounds great. Um,
Okay.
if your ideal client was listening right now, what do they need to hear most?
Yeah. I just want people to know that it is possible to feel like you again. We don't have to feel like we're aging over time. It's possible to feel like that you remember being at your best, and you can take that into your future forever. It's possible and it's very achievable.
That's beautiful. Um, Jessica, thank you so much for your time. I hope everyone got a little something out of what we spoke about, and even inspired to take action. And Jessica, thank you for the inspiration and the knowledge that you give others. And
Thanks for
I
thanks for
look forward to
hosting.
hearing
Thanks for having
hearing
me.
from you at the retreat.
All right. Thanks, Tamara.